One car self. Let me laugh a little. Some people they are even complaining that they heard word Buhari. You that even heard something. Me, the only thing I heard was 10 years out of the 10 years. I oh, my people, before I will continue. Good morning, guys. Good afternoon. Good evening. Depending on wherever you are watching me from or whenever you come across this video, I remain your humble girl, Anointed Lady TV. Please, if you are new to this channel or you have been watching me, you've not subscribed, please subscribe today and put on the bell so that whenever I upload any video, you will be notified. To all my returning subscribers, thank you very much for coming back to check on your baby girl. Watch this video below, guys.
The Benis, in the house, or those who understand Benin a little, they will definitely understand this particular song, within the context of this discourse tonight. The song says, that song was sung by brother, Oheheme, so rest in perfect peace. It says that when you travel with somebody whom you perceive, I are from Spain, thank you so much. Perceive a good person, somebody you felt is a good person, and you began to see things that you never expected. All you start saying is, oh, had I known. That's actually what this song is actually saying. That's exactly how I'm feeling tonight about Nigeria. It's exactly how I'm feeling about the exalted office of the President of Nigeria. Hey! Nigerians clamored. We wanted at least the President of Nigeria to speak to Nigerians within all that we are passing through at this moment, within the context of the violence we are experiencing, within all of these unsettling issues. People clamored for the speech of the president. It's not because they were dumb, they are doomed. We clamored first because we wanted to know that there's somebody alive called president who is seeing what is happening. But it was like calling, the fire service to come and help, quell a fire that is burning, and they came and started pouring fuel, petrol on the oh gosh, salute boy, we be here now. Hi. One of my coping mechanisms when I'm really tensed up, na song and music. I'm just trying to cope with that because I every day since the last 4 days, I've always had things that break me down about Nigeria situations. Every day it gets bad. When one had thought, Chris David, thank you so much, all the way from Ghana. God bless you, my brother. Thank you so much. When we have thought that within what has been happening, with all the tension everywhere, the president of Nigeria will give a speech that Nigerians will at least ease Nigerians a bit. There was no single mention or acknowledgement of the crime against humanity that took place in Lagos. No single mention of it. The president acted like nothing happened. I don't know if there's any other president in this world who will play this kind of ignorance. And I want to tell Nigerians that this president knows what he's doing. The man knows exactly what he's doing. He's calm, he's collected. He knows what he's doing. We cannot be fooled. We cannot be fooled. Today, I mean, somebody was writing just now that it's from Biafra. What local standard do I have, or does anybody have, to say there should not be a clamor for Biafra? When what we have, the semblance of what we have in Nigeria, a country that we call our own, is one that is non-existent. A president could not even empathize or sympathize with Nigerians that have lost children, that have lost brothers and sisters, that have lost what can never be gotten back. As a matter of fact, he added fear to the already burning flame. Hi. You cannot say in the name of protest, we will not allow you, because you are protesting, not to stand in the way of Nigerians who want to go about their normal businesses. I cannot exactly, paraphrase it. In this time, when Lagos is still burning, Earlier today, I saw videos of how persons are alleged to be policemen, alleged to be SAS members, how they were being killed in different parts of the country. Jungle justice everywhere. I bled today in my heart. Looking at what has been happening in Lagos. The senseless killings of Nigerians. Looking at all that is, the reprisal attack that is taking place. The things that Lagosians have lost because of this whole problem. Looking at all of these things, one would naturally just think that a president will come out to try to calm nerves. Now, the only thing we take away from this speech is nothing. It's speechlessness. It's surprise. It's faithlessness in the entire Nigerian project. It's a proper re-evaluation of the heart about even the things we are fighting for. I listened to the speech. A colleague of mine, a friend of mine, equally listened to the speech. After the speech, he called me. He said, "What did the president talk about?" Somebody else called me just before I started this live broadcast. He said, if he dies today, if there's a war, he said, if there's life again, if there's reincarnation, he's appealing to God. He doesn't want to be a Nigerian ever. It's legitimate. It's legitimate. Time and again in our broadcasts, we have maintained. Today, Nigerians across the world, they are in protest. Today, Nigerians across the world, they are in solidarity with Nigerians at home. All we are craving for is that let the life of every Nigerian matter. Today, this man, this human being called Buhari, came out. And the only thing he came to do today is to further let us know that Nigerian lives don't matter. That the life of the average Nigerian doesn't really matter. Because in all the stupid things he said today, I actually didn't see anything that is worth more than empathizing with the situation that Nigerians across Nigeria are going through right now. Empathizing with the senseless killing that took place in Lagos, in Abuja, and environs. At least, even though that is not enough, but at least Nigerians will receive that and people will be calm a bit, probably. But But what we are seeing is a deliberate attempt by the president of Nigeria to further free all the nerves that have been waiting. A deliberate attempt by the president of Nigeria to put everyone off. I don't know how the Adeshinos, the Lai Mohammed, because when the man was talking, though he was reading a prepared speech, I was seeing the voice of Femi Adesina. I was seeing the voice of Lai Mohammed on that speech. I was asking myself, is this speech for this occasion? Is this speech relevant for today? Because as far as I'm concerned, maybe that speech would have been relevant prior to the protest itself. Maybe that speech was a speech prepared 3-4 weeks ago before this protest of EndSARS began. Because I do not see where the speech of Buhari fits into the present day Nigeria, given the things that we are going through right now, given the pain in the pains in the heart of Nigerians, given the wanton destruction taking place right now all across Nigeria, from Lagos to Benin to Delta to Imo to everywhere. The question I'm asking myself is, I'm trying to find space where this speech actually fits into our system right now. Is it that this president is so dumb that he mistakenly took a prepared speech for last month and started reading to Nigerians? Or is it that this president is so dumb that even if this speech was prepared by the wicked heart of Adesina, Femi Adesina, or Lai Mohammed, he's unable to by himself ascertain and understand that more than 70 Nigerians died in Lagos just a couple of days back? Is it that there are no security briefings that alerted this president that more than 70 Nigerians died in Lagos a couple of days back? They did not die because they were attacked by terrorists, in quotes. They did not die because they had an accident. They did not die because they were ill or sick. They did not die of COVID-19. They were not old people. They were not in their 70s or in their 60s or in their 50s. They were youth, young men. They died because some group of persons, under the directive of the leadership of Nigeria, asked these people in uniform to open fire on these men and women who had the only ammunition they had was their flag, the Nigerian flag. And the other ammunition they had was that they were singing the Nigerian national anthem and they were murdered on this. And when some of us look back and we try to look at the rules of engagement of the military, one of the standing principles of the rules of engagement, the ROE, is never use your weapon except you are defending yourself. When we look at what happened at Lekki Toll Gate, we knew from the footages we saw that the Nigerians who were there, they were not attacking anybody. They were not charging after the soldiers. They were there. They were calm. They were collected. They were singing the national anthem and they were raising the Nigerian flag. And they were murdered on that front. We have wept. We have wept. Some of us, we have lost our voice for weeping. Because for me, it's increasingly still looking like it's a dream. Am I dreaming? Is this happening? Is it possible? Is it possible? Can this really be happening in this time and in this age? So many Nigerians across the world, they are still weeping. Some are and yet they are unable to recover from the shock of what happened in Lagos. Please, there should be no cause. People are still reacting. A lot is still ongoing. Nigerians are reacting in different ways. Nigerians are reacting in different ways as we speak. People are burning places. They are burning government properties. They are doing everything, all in reaction to the loss of lives. And all the Nigerian president could do this evening was to come out to tell us that the lives of the Nigerian people actually don't matter. All he could do this evening was to tell us, amongst all the lies, all the unimportant things, to tell Nigerians that their legitimate protests will not be condoned. And that he killed a few days ago, he will kill more. That is what I take away from his speech. I don't know what you take away from his speech. And by the grace of God, we are going to do everything humanly possible. We are going to push the boundaries and the frontiers. At this stage, I have mentioned it, that part of the demand that we have today for the EndSARS protest is that Buhari must go. The idea, the thought of it, that this man is the president of Nigeria, it is the most demoralizing idea today. It is the most killing idea today. It is the most unfortunate idea today. It is the most unbearable idea today. And just the thought of it, not to even have to embrace the reality of it. How did we get this wrong, God? How did we get here? How? That even the dumbest of the dumbest in this world will not give this kind of speech under this kind of situation. They will not. They will not. I still remember some speeches given by General Gowon in the midst of the civil war. In the midst of civil war, where soldiers were legitimately asked to kill, Gowon's speech all through the period was still a speech of reconciliation. Let us come together. Let us come together. In war, we cannot be doing this. Let us come together. I could still remember I listened to some speeches of the head of state at the time. On the radio, what you hear very often from the government of Nigeria at the time, during war, was to keep Nigeria one is a task we have to do. To keep Nigeria one is a task we have to do. And even after the war, when some of the generals of the Biafra army surrendered, Gowon declared, he said, there's been no winner, there's no vanquished. The spirit of reconciliation. Even when some of the generals of the Biafra army came and they said they pledged their loyalty to the federal government of Nigeria. Gowon reminded everybody that there's been no winner, there's no vanquished. And that nobody should take anything out on the Easterners because of this war. It has ended. Let us begin the reconciliation process. That was when we were actually having a civil war. When it didn't matter whether people were dying. We are not at war. Peacetime in Nigeria. Nigerians are being massacred by those that we have empowered to protect us. And what the president of Nigeria could do at this time was to come out and tell the world that the lives of the average Nigerian actually don't matter. And I'm very, very sure that if it were some group of cows that were killed right now, this speech of this man would have been different. So my people, Nigerian people, if you are there, you are listening to me. If we have a president like this as our president, why can't we just ask this? Demand, make a simple demand to say he must go. Because for us to deny Nigeria because of Buhari, it is better we deny Buhari and embrace Nigeria. Today, Buhari's speech gives legitimacy to the agitations of the Biafra people. It gives legitimacy to the agitations of the Oduduwa people. It's giving legitimacy to the upcoming, agitation of the Midwestern people. It is giving legitimacy to the fragmentation of the Nigerian state. I don't want to be guided by my emotions. I still believe very strongly that Nigeria is a bigger entity than Buhari and all his goons and his cohorts. It's a bigger entity. And today, by way of information, that is already rocking the Aso Rock and rocking all of them around. For those who may not know, who may not be aware, it's been discussed at various corners everywhere. Know it today that from very grapevine, from very, 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 credible sources close to the heart of the matter, that what's his name? Tinubu is responsible for all that is happening in Nigeria today. All this evil that is happening right now, Tinubu is responsible. And I say that without fear or favor because I know my source. Tinubu is the man who has been arming counter-protesters against legitimate protesters. Tinubu is the man who has sent his boys all around Nigeria where the protest has been and paying people to attack protesters. All that we've been seeing, Tinubu has been the one behind all of them. Ironically, this same Tinubu is the same man who empowers some people from the Cocoa Below backyard to make sure they add fire to this protest, to make the protest rage. And by the time it was called to order by the presidency, and they asked him to go and fix his mess, he started paying hoodlums as counter-protesters. Because he's got agents everywhere. The like of Oshomere are his agents in Edo State, for instance. So we started having counter-protesters in Abuja, in Lagos, everywhere. Now, when that was not working, the protest was still raging. He now had to resort to killing Lagosians, thinking that when these people die, that everybody will go back, and be afraid to come out. But little did he know that every step he had taken was just spelling an end to his own hegemony. And today, wherever he is, we initially heard that he was in Paris, and later we heard he was going to Turkey. And I've gotten so many calls earlier today telling me that people are spreading information that he's in London. Wherever he is, I probably do not know about that yet. Wherever he is, he knows now that his own end is at hand. For all the evil he has perpetuated. All the evil arising from the insatiability of one man that unofficially we can even regard as the richest man in Africa. Unofficially. Because of the way he's making Lagosians. For 2, 3, 4 days that you could not get money out of the Lekki toll gates. Tinubu resorted to killing Lagosians, resorted to killing Nigerian people, orchestrated the killing. And I want to pity Sanwo-Olu, the governor of Lagos State. All the lies you are telling that you know, you don't have any, you went to the hospital from this to this to this, that you cannot actually report, you know, death. Just be peddling your lies. Because I believe very strongly that all of you Shoshana governors who go around this inept president, you are the ones making this problem the way it is. Because what you feed him is all lies. And the man has no brain himself to know what is happening in the country which he governs as president. We are sad. We are truly sad. We are sad. We are dumbfounded. I've called a number of persons today since after the speech. Nobody is even able to speak a word. Nobody is even able to articulate anything. We cannot even bring out anything, any sense out of the speech. Oh my God. Oh! Where did we get it wrong? Again, you will trace all of these things back to this man, Tinubu. You trace all of them back to when he went to go and shop for this Buhari. Buhari slept Tinubu's house for more than 48 hours, and they were planning how to take over government. He had the power to make the king. He had the privilege to make the king for Nigeria. But he was selfish about it. He went to go and bring this man. Negotiated his own package. Put behind him, what's his name, Osinbajo, with the idea that, oh, if this man may just die before the next 4 years. And when that happens, Osinbajo comes in to become president, then he can quickly take over Nigeria. But all that failed. All that failed. Today, I hear clamor from Nigerians everywhere now, saying, and this may be part of the demand of Nigerians today, saying that anybody who is above 60 years should not aspire anymore to become president of Nigeria. Tired of these cargoes. We are tired. I don't even know how our destiny, collectively just got this wrong. We are not even in military era. We are not. But just look at what we are having. Hi. I mean, people are making comments here. I'm asking people to just, write, where they are joining me from. People are writing, Lagos, Canada, everywhere. Some people are writing Biafra. What local standard do I have to say no? To say no. What local standard do we have not to justify? Or not to say it is legitimate, the call of Biafra, or the call of Oduduwa, or the call of Edo? Hey. What local standard do we have? What examples do we have? What examples? What examples? But however, things happen for things to be corrected. What we have, we nothing I'm sure is going to surprise us anymore, particularly from these people. But part of our demand is that this president has to go. This president cannot afford to continue to be president of Nigeria. This president has not shown that is capable of leading this country. He has not shown it in words. He has not shown it in actions. He has not shown it in anything. As a matter of fact, this man just came out to talk to us tonight because from everywhere, left, right, side, corner, even in the international community, people are saying, where is your president? And so, For him to just come and insult us, you know, as he wishes, he came up with this speech. I probably just think that, you know, I mean, from the National Assembly the other day, is it Iberibe or whatever they call him, was asking that the president should address Nigerians. Everybody from everywhere has been saying, Mr. President, address Nigerians. And he called additional. I just can imagine. He called Femi, he called what's it called, Lala Mohammed. So how do I insult these people? And they packaged insult for him to read out to Nigerians. He added a few of his own insults on it. What we saw tonight was a president who came out to insult Nigerians. There is no way we can color his speech. He even went ahead and threw jibes at the international community, asking them to fact check what they are saying. When the world is seeing, when the world is hearing, when they know that Nigeria is not at peace, they know that we have agitations. When Nigerians all across the world, they are in protest. In London, from yesterday night, almost through this morning, the Nigerian people in London, they were in protest, even breaching all rules of COVID-19 that is existing. And there's going to be aftermath to that. In Canada, we have the same thing. In America, all across, Nigerians are protesting everywhere. And the world is saying, and all you can say is to indirectly tell the global community to keep quiet and mind their business. My people, I know many of you are watching us from Nigeria, and I know that you know, people are watching us from across the world, and even after this broadcast, people are going to share and they are going to hear my voice. This is very affirmative. We've got a list of demands. Now, the way the events, you know, the events are unfolding in Nigeria, our demands are increasing along the line of the way things are unfolding. And right now, a major part of this demand is that this man must go. As a matter of fact, it is being floated at some quarters this day that we need to set up a caretaker committee to take us through the process of our national discourse. Even when we are calling for that discourse to take place, we have no confidence that this man can even pilot that discourse. We need a competent team of executive to take over the reins of power in Nigeria today and take us through this process of having that discourse. Because without that discourse, Buhari, whether you are listening or not, Adesina, so many people are going to share this broadcast, you will hear. Without us having that national discourse to discuss the terms of our togetherness as a people, believe me, the Biafra agitation is going to get thicker. Many more people are going to have reasons to join that agitation. Believe you me, the Oduduwa agitation is going to get thicker, and many more people are going to join that agitation. Believe you me, the Midwest agitation is going to come very soon, very soon. And you know, we can tell you, Edo remains the heartbeat of the nation. Whatever is happening right now in Nigeria started in Edo State. And that is why we pray that things don't start from Edo State. When it does, it's going to go around. From Edo State to Delta State, the Fort Bender State, and all around, the Midwest region, we will come out with our own agitation. And when we start, there will be no delay. You know that Nigeria is gone. I am making this right now as a forerunner to what is to come. Well, what you hear from me tonight, okay, I am just laying a bit of small foundation. In the coming days, weeks, and months, what I'm saying right now will begin to make sense. I'm telling the world right now, I'm telling the Nigerian people right now, I am telling all those people who say they are senators, those of you say you are governors, who will have the privilege of listening to me. I'm telling you right now, if you know what is right for you, those of you in the north who believe that, the Fulanis who believe that it is your inheritance to hold on to the presidency of Nigeria, you must advise your brother right now that he and his cabinet, they need to resign, set up a caretaker committee that will take us through the process of discourse. Every interest group in Nigeria, from Oduduwa to Igodomigodo to Biafra to the Arewa community, every interest group, we need to sit down on the round table and renegotiate our Nigerianness. Because right now, Nigeria does not exist in a practical term. It's existing as a nomenclature describing a geopolitical entity in this world. Nigeria, at best, is existing as a nomenclature, as a name, but in practice, it does not exist. For Nigeria to exist as a practical entity that people can identify with, that can be peaceful, that can be legitimate, we need to sit down and discuss our collective being. We need to just sit down and have that chart. Because what we have right now at best is a fiasco. And like they say, real peace is not necessarily the absence of violence, but it is the presence of justice. And justice demands that for us to be together in this marriage called a nation, we need to discuss, because we have not discussed. We have not discussed. And for Nigerians who don't know, I want to let you people know that what we know historically is that every Nigerian ethnic group, okay, they came from where they came from. They are part of where they exist, where they are today. The only foreigners we have in Nigeria are the Fulanis. They are the only foreigners. Historically, the geographical zone called Nigeria was never inhabited by the Fulanis. They are people who just came from afar and they started dominating their environment. And today, and that is why we were a laughing stock in 1957 when Anthony Enahoro moved a motion for self-government. This same group of people, these same human beings called the Fulanis, they were the ones who objected and said as at when practicable. Kwame Nkrumah of Ghana, until his death, Nigeria was a laughing stock. That you had so far had your nationalism process, all the period. It got to 1957. Somebody was bold enough, young Anthony Enahoro from Edo State, a Benin man, from a land of Igodomigodo, moved the motion and said, we demand self-government. Only for you to just second that motion, and the British will grant us that independence in 1957. The Northerners, the Fulani people, they said as at when practicable that we are not ready enough. We have been having this problem since then till now. Since then till now. And the only reason why these people they objected to that motion was because they wanted a clandestine arrangement with the British people. And eventually they got it. The British left powers and left powers in the hands of these people. And as time went by, people like Ahmadu Bello began to propagate the idea that the presidency of Nigeria is the birthright of these people. And today, we are sad to understand that many of these Fulanis and some of these are northern people are still wallowing, are still propagating that idea to the extent that some are even floating now. They are floating a third-term agenda for this dead human being that we have as a president. Some are even not saying that, when Yaradua died, he was short-changed. Goodluck Jonathan went 6 years. And instead of Jonathan to have stepped down, so another Northerners will replace him. Jonathan will not have continued. They are having all that kind of useless discourse. All we are saying, this is the truth. That's what I'm saying. Let's have a national discourse. People have right to their opinions, like I have right to mine. In that discourse, if you wish that your hegemony of leadership, you want it to continue with discourse, you stand as your what's it called, your northern people, whatever you are, however you want to grade yourself, Arewa, whatever. Take care of yourself, rule yourself forever and ever, and give yourself the kind of government you want. But the kind of government you are giving to the rest of us, we say we don't want it, we reject it. That is why we are saying we want a national discourse. But if we don't get it, because when peaceful change, as they say, becomes protracted and difficult to achieve, of course, violent change will become inevitable. What we are saying right now, we do not want violent change. Because right now, violence is already embracing the change that we are seeking. All we wanted this human being called president to do this evening was to calm nerves, was to bring us to that point where we begin to calm down and think of how we come to that roundtable discourse. But he came, insulted us with so much impudence, with so much insolence, with so much vituperations, I don't even know what adjective to describe this with. But simply put, this man came and thought that the best thing he needed to do at this time was to insult all Nigerians with his speech. And he succeeded with that. He succeeded. It's all right. It's all right. But for those who are listening, for Nigerians at home, yet again, forget, please, for those who were expectant of something good from the speech of this president, I want to appeal to you to forget this human being, okay? Disregard. Put it in oblivion. Imagine that no speech was ever given. That is the only way we are going to get over this and move on. I want to salute the men and women still in struggles. I want to salute you for your courage. I want to thank God for your lives. I want to thank God for the strength He's given to you for this agitation to continue. If not what you guys are doing all across Nigeria, behold, these people would have taken us for even a greater ride. But because you guys are standing, even when brothers are dying in your front, even when your sisters are enveloped in blood, and you stood firm, you are holding the line, you are standing forth, you are holding the line, you are standing strong and firm, you are holding the fort. You are the true heroes. You, all you guys in Lagos, all you guys in Benin, all you guys in Imo State, all you guys across the length and breadth of Nigeria, where this genuine protest is taking place, I salute you. You are the heroes of this protest. You are the heroes of this program. And you are the heroes of the Nigerian future. And I want to equally salute and encourage Nigerians in London. I want to encourage them in the US. I want to encourage them in Canada. I want to encourage them all over in Germany, France. Thank you guys, Nigerians in France. Thank you. We saw what you did, in an attempt to pull out the man that was alleged to be in that hotel in Paris. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And I want to say, for all of them that are escaping Nigeria right now, running, trying to seek, refuge in a foreign man's land when they have destroyed our country, please, when you have information, wherever they are, let us know. Let us make noise with it. There is no place in this world that should contain any of these wicked people and their family anywhere abroad. I have said that without fear of favor, without fear of intimidation. I said that there should be no place in this world to accommodate any of these politicians or their families. None whatsoever. Because of the wickedness they have shown to Nigerians. In replacement of Buhari's speech, I do not have a prepared speech. However, I want to say, fellow Nigerians, given all that is happening, I apologize on behalf of the wickedness of Nigeria. I apologize and I appeal. I condole with the families and friends of those that we have lost in this struggle. I condole and I say that we are standing with everybody. We are together in this, and together we shall give ourselves the Nigeria of our dream. Today, the Nigeria we have It's not the Nigeria of our dream. It's not Nigeria we wait for. It's a Nigeria that was forced on all of us by the British people. And we want to rewrite the wrongs of the British when they came to colonize Nigeria. We want to rewrite the wrongs of the British when they amalgamated Nigeria. We want to rewrite the wrongs of the British when they gave us a name, Nigeria, and made us a geographical entity called Nigeria, bringing us together and dividing and ruining us, and laying the foundation even when they were living to make sure that they are living, but they have not left. And that's lived on, affecting even this generation and the ones to come if we don't take decisive steps. This is what this is about. It's what it has been about. Unfortunately, we can tell that the leadership of Nigeria is not with us in this struggle. This struggle is a struggle that we are going to fight to get by ourselves. If we are waiting for anybody to give us on a platter of gold, we are not going to get it. We must fight for it. We must struggle for it. Freedom come by struggle. Our freedom is going to come because we are struggling. Our freedom is going to come because we are resolute. Our freedom is going to come because we are persistent. Nigeria must remain ungovernable until we get what we want. And what we want, amongst every other thing, is that Buhari has to resign. Buhari has to resign. Buhari has to resign. We need to set up another leadership that will take us through the process of reconciliation, that will take us through the process of a national discourse for us to decide the future of this country. We must rewrite the history. We must rewrite it. Now is the time. This fight may take us another 1 year, but we must be persistent until we get that which we can accommodate as a nation. And if it is not possible for us to get it, then let us decide how. Let us decide at that point. So my people, rest assured that this matter is still ongoing. We are not leaving this matter. We are going to stay on top of this matter. You know, for Nigerians who live abroad, who are in the diaspora, I want to appeal to you that this struggle is not for Nigerians who are at home alone. This struggle is for all of us. There's something that we can do to support the struggle. You know, I will equally appeal for Nigerians to remain law-abiding and work within the context and within the framework of what this protest is about. For those of us, for our brothers and sisters who have embarked on destroying things, who have embarked on jungle justice, I still will say it, okay? The jungle justice, you know, may not entirely heal our wounds. You know, the destruction we are carrying out may not entirely heal our wounds, because at the end of the day, when we eventually get our freedom, we are coming to come back to reparations. So we must not imbibe the habits, okay, in Lagos, in environs, where we are burning down police stations, burning down everywhere. Because at the end of the day, after this whole struggle, when we eventually get what we want, we are coming back to where we belong to. And if we had already destroyed the structures we already have, okay, now, and we are coming back, it becomes even more difficult to raise new structures.